Everyone hates meetings. Someone shows up late, someone is distracted, or someone is distracting because they're zooming from their car. It'd work way better as an email you're thinking to yourself, or actually a Slack message or video. But sometimes a meeting works. It's clear, it's purpose-driven, and it's energizing. In this video, I'll show you how it can happen by design every time. I'm Trisha Shartino, the CEO of BELAY. We're a fully remote organization with hundreds of team members, so we've mastered the meeting game. The goal? Minimal, effective meetings. Meeting when you only actually need to have a meeting, when they're necessary. You keep them under an hour, and the truth is, when you have the right people in the room, you can be successful. Harvard actually says any meeting over 7 attendees, it's too many. 7 attendees or less rush decision-making and make quality decisions. McKinsey has found that teams of that size make faster decisions and outperform their peers by 20%. So let's have small, effective meetings with less conflict and more clarity. More people just equals less effectiveness. So let's break down the 6 most important common problems and how we can fix each one of them. Number 1, meetings with no guardrails. These are those meetings that are completely unproductive. There's a lot of rambling. It's a lot of chaos. People have come to brainstorm, and actually no decisions or problems are being solved. These meetings drive most highly performing people absolutely crazy. But how does this happen? This happens because the meeting doesn't have guardrails. What does a meeting guardrail look like? Well, the first meeting guardrail would be meetings start on time. We don't have time for people to show up late. Guardrail number 2 is we end on time. That means you have a very specific amount of time, which I recommend is less than an hour, to hold your meeting. The people that are in the meeting are the people you need in the meeting. Those 7 people we talked about, they're the 7 right people in the meeting, because either they're the decision maker or they're the expert. So you want them in the room. The last thing is you have a robust agenda that is time constrained. So if you have a 45-minute meeting, what are the meeting blocks in 7 to 10-minute blocks that you're holding on that agenda to ensure you're talking about the actual specific meat of a conversation and you're not veering off with no guardrails. If you've allotted 10 minutes to talk about a lead generation tactic you want to invest in the company, you've got 10 minutes, period. Teaches people how to net out their decision making and come to the meeting prepared and keep the meeting decisive and on track. We've actually had this happen at BELAY many times. We've had executive team meetings and or lead team meetings that had become a meeting of updates. Each leader was coming on and giving the updates of all the things that were going on in their department. And the truth is, there were big things going on inside the organization that we were not spending the quality time talking about. We weren't talking about strategy. We weren't talking about how to grow the business. We weren't talking about the challenges that we were having because we were too busy spending time updating departmental initiatives. The missing guardrail was we just didn't have the agenda fleshed out to be what the agenda should have been. The agenda needed to be less about let's hear from each leader about what's going on in their business, and it needed to be more about here are the 3 big topics we need to discuss because they are the priorities we need to make decisions on and take action on to move the business forward. So now our agendas look like what are the 3 things we need to talk about respectfully because we know it's going to drive the business forward. We no longer sit in meetings and give each other department updates. Those things, they're dropped in Slack, email, or they're in a Loom. Number 2, updates that should have just been emails. How many times have you sit in a meeting for 30 to 60 minutes and wondered to yourself, oh my gosh, why wasn't this an email or a Slack message or a video? I just wasted all this time. The truth is there are CEOs like Jason Fried of Basecamp who believes in no meetings. They have a no meeting culture. He believes in sending a Friday email to his team called the Friday Heartbeats, and everything that anybody needs to know about the organization is in an email because he has a 0 meeting culture. Now, we have not gone that far at BELAY, and you might not be ready to do that either. However, the point is updates and meetings are a no. If you're having update meetings, delete them from the calendar. Number 3, too many people in the room. More people is more politics, less candor, less action. 1 or 2 things I've seen happen in meetings like this. Number 1, you've got 20 people in a meeting. So what happens is 18 of the 20 people feel uncomfortable adding value or talking in the meeting because they're surrounded by those other people who are the bigger voices in the room. That's option 1. Option 2 is you have 20 people all trying to weigh in on one topic. And who can make a decision off the opinion of 20 people? This goes back to the first point we make. Great teams are 7 people. So you want to own who's in the room. So there's CEOs like Jeff Bezos at Amazon who uses the 2 pizza rule. If 2 pizzas can't feed them, there's too many people in your meeting. If you have meetings like this, review your attendees. Who needs to be in the meeting? Everybody else is removed. Number 4, too too much agreement and not enough insight. Oh, these are the worst meetings, right? You know the meetings I'm talking about? The meetings where everybody just agrees with what everybody else has said in the meeting, and they start every sentence with yes, and how about this? And then the next person, yes, and how about this? Everybody wants to be heard, everybody wants to add value, but everybody's just agreeing with everybody. The truth is, if you're in a meeting, you've gathered people to decide or discuss a topic inside your business that should be important, or we go back to rule number 1, you shouldn't even be having the meeting. So you're asking for people to bring a contrarian or different perspective. Meetings are about debate. They are about discussion. They are about resolving the pros and cons of decisions you make inside your business. So if you don't have a culture with which people can come to a meeting and disagree to get to the right solution, you're not having effective meetings. We actually have a rule at BELAY. We have rules of engagement. And we believe everybody coming to a meeting is responsible for 3 things. You see something that doesn't sound right, doesn't sit right, doesn't look right, it is up to you to bring that up. Second rule, hunt the elephant. We want people to call out the big white elephant in the room. You know, the thing everyone's skirting around, the topic people aren't bringing up. That's what we want our teams to bring up. Lastly, we welcome the contrarian. You want people in the meeting who are not afraid to sit on the other side of the topic, not afraid to talk about how something might not work. That's how you make great decisions. That is a great meeting. Number 5, the topic expands to fill time. Oh, this one's great. So let's say you give something 30 minutes on your agenda. The truth is, people will fill 30 minutes. They will just take the airtime and use that entire 30 minutes to talk about a topic that probably could have been discussed in 10 minutes if the agenda only allowed them 10 minutes. When you give somebody 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 30 minutes, they're going to use all the time you give them to present that topic. I say we err on the side 7 to 10 minutes per topic. This way you can get to the crux of the decision. The person presenting comes prepared to talk about the topic, and then the team is allowed just a few minutes to bring the contrarian into the conversation, weigh the pros and cons, and then we move on, and that's done. If you're not adding value to a topic or a conversation, you probably didn't need to be in the meeting at all. So I say to you, if you're in meetings where you haven't said anything on any topic that was discussed, exit the meeting. It's not the meeting for you. Since we're talking about contrarian perspectives, a lot of people would say you need to build buffer into the beginning of your meetings to allow for relationship building, team building, bonding, catching up with your teammates. And I believe that's important and true. However, these meetings may not be the best place for building relationships. Save that for a lunch meeting, save that for a happy hour, or save that for a team building day or exercise. Number 6, back-to-back meetings with no margin. If you have every meeting booked for an hour, hour after hour, with no space in between, you are not leading, you are working. You need space for strategy, space to decompress before one meeting and after another meeting. You have to design and block buffer time into your schedule so that you can be the leader you need to be inside your business. This is when real thinking happens. You need to reflect. You need those 15 minutes in between meetings. If you're ready to stop wasting time and lead with intention, download our free 40-hour workweek planning guide. It's in the description below. Subscribe for more tools that can help you lead without burning out.